What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Outside the Cage. I'm your co-host, Jalen. My other half right here is my dog, Eric. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Finally recovered from Hollow weekend. You already know.
Halloween weekend was
Can't lie,
special.
Santa Barbara let me down a little bit. I was expecting more. Like it was still cool out here, but I don't know. I almost feel like the 661 might have been a little better.
It was cool. You know, we have our spots, just like you probably do up there. What was your costume?
I was just a cowboy. I wore this and then just like a
Cowboy
brown shirt
Cerrone?
and some jeans. Yeah, we'll say
Mm.
that. We'll say that.
I should have got a pick up
I
here
saw
for this
your
for the.
costume.
Yeah. I should have got a solo pick. We can't post the pictures that I have from copyright or what's it called? I
Yeah,
forgot what it's
I
called.
know
You
what you
can't
mean.
post
I think it's copyright.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I was Sugar Sean, bro. So two things. One, um, so I had the wig on, and I had a Raptors jersey on, and then I had the glasses on, and then I had like a big chain. So you can kind of like tell if you know like enough, whatever, right?
hmm
So I'm like in line at the club, and this one dude's like, "Hey, bro, are you Sugar Sean?" I say, "Hell yeah, I'm Sugar Sean, right?" So I'm like, "All right, my costume's fucking here, right?" So then I'm at the bar. I'm talking to this girl, and she's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Who do you think?" And she's like, was guessing. And I was like, "UFC fighter." She's like, "Oh," she said, "I know who you are." She said, "You're sugar free." Said, "Close
Man,
enough,
almost.
close
Dude,
enough,
that
close enough."
just shows that he's breaking through, man. He is
Yes, yeah.
breaking through
Hey,
to the
Conor McGregor never had a costume.
nope, not like this. Yeah, I'm trying to think of. You'd have to like look like Connor. You'd have to
Yeah,
do the fake tattoos and stuff like that. Go shirtless, have some
yeah,
coke. But
yeah.
anyway, yeah,
I for sure would have. The original plan, my shit didn't come in. I was gonna get a replica belt. I was gonna get a replica belt,
ooh,
and I probably would have. If I would have got a replica belt, I probably would have went shirtless. But since I like didn't have the belt, I kind of like had to wear. I was gonna wear a Suga shirt, but I felt like the jersey set it off more. The jersey was dope.
yeah. That's kind of. I feel like it would go like number one would be one of those empty suit jackets like he wears, and then the jersey. Jersey was money though, especially because it was purple. Was it the T Mac?
Yeah, vintage.
Top five jersey in sports history right there. Anyway,
Yeah, facts. But yeah, man, what a weekend it was. We had some big storylines. Let's get right into it. Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou. Tyson Fury wins by split decision. Francis Ngannou drops Tyson Fury. I think that was crazy. Um,
hmm
yeah, I mean, a lot of people. I mean, obviously on one scorecard he won, so it was close. It was split. A lot of people were saying that he won. But I've also heard a lot of people saying like kind of how I always come on here and say whenever it's like a close fight, like just because the person who loses doesn't mean they got robbed. So I don't think anyone on here is saying Francis got robbed from the people that I like trust that are like unbiased.
hmm
They don't think Francis got robbed. They just think it was super close and it could have gone either way. Again, doesn't mean robbery, but again, it's kind of not like UFC where if you kind of like if it's close and one guy drops the other guy and the other guy doesn't, you kind of lean the guy that dropped the guy. But I guess boxing is different. But yeah, I mean, did you watch it? What was your reaction?
Yeah, so I was golfing when it happened, so I was kind of watching it like, between shots and stuff like that. But I went back and watched the full fight after, and it was close. I do think Fury probably barely.
Yeah.
I think Fury won more rounds, but Francis Ngannou 100% won the night because he shocked me. I think he shocked 95% of fight fans because like I was saying all before this, it's two different sports. Boxing is its own thing compared to MMA. And Francis went in there with arguably the best heavyweight of all time and fought him closer than probably anybody in Fury's career besides the first Wilder fight when Wilder basically KO'd him. So huge ups to Francis, man. We were both skeptical when he left the UFC. We didn't really think it could get better for him. But I think it's fair to say that it has. He's been the talk of the fight community ever since that fight. Eddie Hearn's throwing his guys out there. It almost looks like Francis is the new cash cow in the heavyweight boxing division, which is wild after one fight.
Does he? Do you think he regrets signing that deal with PFL? Because they're talking about now, like he's a legit boxer. Like he's gonna fight Anthony Joshua, Fury's gonna fight Usyk, and the winner's gonna fight for the belts. Like he's in that conversation. Like he's a top 10 heavyweight in the world right now. Like boxing already.
That is so crazy. That is it.
Crazy.
You see what Uncle Chael said?
Crazy.
He said, "Well, I guess Francis proved that boxing's not a real sport." Just because, like, the fact that he was able to go.
That's kind of, and I was kind of, yeah, I was kind of thinking about this today. I've made that point before about the UFC guys going over to boxing. We get a bad rep because all the UFC guys that go over to boxing are fucking old.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said if we can get a UFC guy in his prime while he's in the UFC to go and box, we have chances to win. Like, and Francis as prime as a prime out there's been it. I mean, like, if somehow we were able to get Izzy to box Jake Paul, like Izzy wins that. Like, so I think that all these people that for all like this past, like since this celebrity boxing's been a thing, like that this celebrity boxing has been a thing, like it's always old UFC guys, and it's always a lot of times non-strikers. There's never been really a UFC boxer striker in his prime that fought a boxer.
Yeah, I mean the closest we've seen is Mike Perry, and he's doing bare knuckle. And look at Mike Perry; he's been freaking running it over there in bare knuckle since he came over from the UFC. And it's not like he outstruck everyone he fought in the UFC; like he had gotten outboxed before, but he hasn't in bare knuckle yet. Obviously, he's not fighting like top boxers, but still. I got an interesting quote, or I got one question for you before I read the quote. So if you're Dana White and you could travel back in time 6 months or a year ago, do you keep Francis on the roster and let him box Fury like what Dana did with Conor? Just in hindsight, obviously he didn't know Jones was going to get hurt, and
I think, well, it's hard to say in hindsight because if he does that, Jones fights Ngannou.
I meant not in hindsight, like not knowing what we know now.
I mean, I don't see how the timeline would have worked because, okay, if he says, we'll sign you to a deal, you can box. Does he sign the deal, box, and then fight Jon Jones? Or does he fight Jon Jones and then box? Because if he loses to Jon Jones, that fight's less valuable than it was this past weekend. Do I think? I don't know because I don't think Dana White regrets anything. So I'm trying to put myself in his shoes here and think as like unbiased as possible. I don't think so because I think if you do that, it opens the floodgates to a lot of other people. And don't get me wrong, I think Francis is a star, but the Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather thing was just another world.
Yeah.
That's another world. That was. I mean, I'm sure the Francis and Tyson fight did great numbers. I doubt it was a super huge fight. But just the Conor and Floyd thing was just different.
That dude, I still have people who aren't even fight fans when they realize I like UFC and MMA and combat sports. That's the first one they bring up. They're like, "Oh, you remember Conor Floyd?" Like it was some legendary fight. Like the fight itself wasn't even anything crazy. It was just the build up and the promotion and the anticipation and everything.
Yeah, so I don't think he regrets it. I think he regrets missing out on the Jon Jones and Francis fight. I think that was the one that he regrets. I don't think he regrets letting him leave because I think Dana's just who Dana is, and that's why UFC is what it is. Because of that, he'll let people like that walk. But obviously, like when you lose someone like that, yes, you regret it, but I mean, show goes on.
Yep. One other, I saw a comment kind of siding with what you just said. They said, yeah, it kind of looks like it hurts Dana right now, but in the long run, he kept the brand what it is. He didn't open that floodgate like what you were saying about just letting everyone do that.
And when they say it hurts him, what does it hurt?
I don't know. I mean, if Francis was still in the heavyweight division right now, it would be a lot bigger of a draw, whether he lost to John and it was a rematch, or he beat John and he was fighting Sergey or Aspinall
Yeah.
or Stipe 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
don't know,
mean,
I
I
just
just think,
think
I think anytime you lose, I mean, let's look at any division. Obviously, the heavyweight division is different. But anytime you lose your champion or a star, it hurts. So I don't mean,
yeah.
yeah, it hurts. But that was rare occurrence. I don't remember like since I've been a fan of them ever like just losing a champion like that, like just to another deal. Like that's crazy in general. Um, but yeah, shouts to Francis, man. I've been on here personally hard about Francis, saying I didn't agree with what he was doing, but he proved us all wrong. Not only did he prove us wrong from a money standpoint, financial standpoint, he proved us wrong as like he can really box and he really
Mhm.
yeah took it to Tyson Fury. And what I don't think is people are understanding, and like a lot of people say Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight of all time. He didn't come in and
I
fight
think
Jake
so.
Paul. He didn't come in and
Yeah.
fight these other dudes. Like he fought a legit heavyweight, undoubtedly top 3 heavyweight of all time.
Yeah. Like it's like if I don't know, if some UFC fighter left and fought Canelo or something like that. It's literally the same thing. It's I think this
Yeah.
makes I think this makes Cyril's striking look even more unbeatable too. Because I just keep thinking about how silly Cyril had Francis looking on the feet. I know different sports and everything, but we still have not seen anyone just do that to Francis on the feet. Even Tyson Fury with his own rule set.
Yeah.
And I so
So
kind of we already kind of touched on it, but Dan Hardy, he had a good quote about why Dana probably also doesn't like to have UFC athletes go into other promotions. He said, if you look at someone like Suga
mhm.
or Jon Jones, Dana doesn't want to take that risk. You remember when he took Chuck Liddell over to Pride and Rampage beat him up? That kind of burned him, and I feel he's been very, very reluctant to risk breaking his toys in other people's promotions. That's a true thing, because if your guy loses, then he just loses a lot of hype, and it takes money out of the UFC's pay-per-view buys.
yeah. It kind of have to would be like, I guess the Tyson and Francis fight would have made a lot of sense. Because the reason why the Conor and Floyd made sense, and it didn't take away from Conor's stardom, was because Floyd was the greatest boxer of all time. So no one expected
Mhm.
Conor to really win.
Yeah.
So I think this situation would have been the best situation for Dana White to have Francis fight Tyson, and then it's close. It's close, and Dana can say he dropped him, and we're the
Mhm.
UFC, and then he goes back and fights Jon Jones again or Sergey, however it would have played out. Um, but yeah, I think it's a risk. Like when people are wanting to fight like Jake Paul, that's a risk. That's too much of a risk that I wouldn't take for what? What does that do for us?
Yeah,
But yeah, I
it's
mean,
like
I
you're
think that
expected to win, and if you lose, it's the end of the world.
yeah. So I think like this fight, yes, would have been a great situation for Dana. That would have been a win-win. Um, but it's hard. You just never know. Like you really never know. I generally think he had a lot of faith in Connor. Connor was the bigger guy. Connor had a boxing background. Um, Connor did well. Um, but yeah, I don't think he thought Tyson or Friends had a chance against Tyson. So that's the difference. There's a lot of other reasons too. But so looking back at it now, does Jon Jones beat Francis?
Bro, I don't know, man, because Francis is I bet he's a tough guy to take down. We saw Stipe do it in their first fight, but that was before Francis had been grinding at Extreme Couture. We also got to shout out Eric Nixick. He has been on a roll this year.
With Flowers.
He's looking like the coach of the year at the moment. Um so yes, Francis has been grinding in that gym, which is one of the best places to learn wrestling in the whole country, like in terms of MMA gyms. And he's bigger than John. He's a freak of nature. And it's not like John would just be able to kind of lunge in there like he did against Cyril. I guess he could duck a punch and take him down, but I don't know. Dude, we just didn't get to see much of John at all. He just made it look so
Yeah.
easy against Cyril. It's tough to really gauge him still.
Yeah.
I,
So
I kind of
speaking
side
of
with
not
Francis,
seeing,
though. I'll give an answer. I'm a side with
yeah,
Francis. What about you?
I'll rock with John. Speaking of though, not seeing enough of Jon Jones, we get the breaking news on Tuesday, my birthday, Tuesday night. right? Torn pectoral, out for 8 months. The fight with Stipe is off. I heard a rumor. No, okay, I don't want to say a rumor. I saw it. I don't know if it's true. Did they release Stipe?
I don't think so. I'll check my sources right now. But wow,
Well,
that would be
either way. I heard that they didn't even offer Stipe the Sergey or the Aspinall fight. They just said that this is the fight. I know it was a busy weekend, and I know that Tyson and Francis kind of stole the show. But this news of Jon Jones being out 8 months is not getting, I don't think it's getting talked about enough. This is huge. I just don't think we ever see him again.
Jeez,
I don't think.
I mean, he was going to retire after this. Because it was probably in his mind. My bad. What were you going to say?
I said it was just like that fight was going to be so huge, and now that it's gone, I just don't think we ever see it again. And even now, it was probably 5 years too late. But even now, it's like, when do we see it? Steve is going to be out for 2-3 years, so it's just I just think that it's not being. When I was thinking about it on the way here, I was just like, damn, that's huge news that I don't think it's getting talked about enough, because that's big.
I honestly, dude, until you said that, I hadn't thought of it that way, but that is a very real possibility, because Jon already went out there, won the heavyweight belt, certified, stamped himself as the GOAT. This fight against Stipe was a legacy fight. He was getting a chance to take out another legend who was 40 years old. So, I mean, yeah, I don't really think Jon would want to come back and fight the winner of Aspinall and Sergey. And Stipe, I feel like Stipe and Jon, they had their eyes set on this date, and they were like, after this, we're done. It's time to just go off into the sunset, retire. So you move that back another 8 months all the way to next fall. It's a long time for Jon to stay disciplined. Out of jail.
Yeah, I honestly don't trust Jon Jones too, with like 8 months of not being able to train, or however long it is before he can train. That's 8 months before he can start training again. So yeah, man, that was really devastating. Really devastating. I felt that one. That one hurt.
I hadn't thought of it that way. I was just kind of bummed we were missing it right now, but we really might not get to see Jon again now that you say
No,
it.
I don't think we see him again.
I hope you're wrong.
But now we got the new matchup. Tom Aspinall, Sergey Pavlovich. They move that to the co-main. They move Yuri and Pereira to the main event. In this matchup, who do you like? What do you see?
Man, I keep on going back and forth, because Sergey, he's not just like a wild thrower on the feet. Obviously, he does just throw crazy stuff, but he's technical as well. So he's not just going to be sloppy out there. But I think Aspinall is just so much better on the ground. If he's able to get it there, he's going to win the fight, because I saw Pavlovich earlier in his career. Who was it against? Might have been against like Overeem or someone like that. And he just took him down, grounded and pounded him, held him there, made it look easy. So, I'm sure Sergey's been working on his grappling, but I still like Aspinall. I just think he's a more well-rounded fighter. And we haven't seen Sergey.
It was Overeem. That's his only loss in the UFC. Only loss ever.
It's a trip watching that fight. Overeem just takes him down and Khabibs him. But, yeah, man, we haven't seen Sergey outside of the first round yet, right? In a really long time.
Yeah.
So I think Aspinall's good enough to survive the initial.
He hasn't been out in the first round.
You lagged out there since when?
All fights ended in the first. His last fight that didn't end in the first round. His last fight that didn't end in the first round was 2017.
Jeez.
He's never been out of the first round in the UFC. He's never been out of the first round in the UFC.
I think a good bet here would be Sergey first round TKO, and then also do Aspinall in rounds 2, 3, 4, or 5 if they have one of those.
I haven't really dove into this fight much. I'm just kind of looking at like how I would look at it, how I would start breaking it down. I'm going to tell you some names here. Marcelo Gom, Maurice Green, Shamil Abdurrahmanov, Derek Lewis last year, Tai Tuivasa last year, and Curtis Blades. Those are Sergey's wins in the UFC.
That's not a title resume yet. I mean, the way he's done it has been, but
Yeah, the way he's
that's
done it, but just to warrant, like, I'm thinking like he's because like when I first looked at it, I was like, damn, Sergey's gonna roll over this dude, but no. Your biggest win is obviously Curtis Blades, but then your next two are Ty and Derek Lewis, and we know how those wins look recently.
yeah. Yeah, Curtis is really the only true test on there, I feel like, at the top level in that division.
Yeah.
So, I
So,
mean,
it's a close fight.
one thing I am excited, though, about this fight is I feel like it kind of brings the future to us now. Obviously, we'd rather see Jon and Stipe, but this was probably going to be the title fight after that fight either way. Jon and Stipe were probably both going to retire. So at least this way, we could get a champ and just kind of get the division moving. And I saw Brendan Schaub. He said if Jon's going to be out for a year, this should not be for an interim belt. It should just be for the vacant belt because Yuri and Jamal.
Is it interim?
They're saying interim right now. I think it should be vacant because look at Yuri and Jamal. Obviously, they're both not Jon Jones, but they had injuries for around the same time. Jon's might be like a little shorter.
Yeah.
And I mean, what's the difference? I mean, if Jon gets the title shot either way, I guess the pay-per-view points.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited. Man, tragic in the heavyweight division. We don't get to see the Jon Jones and Stipe fight that maybe we wanted, but yeah, division moves on. Now we get to see these two young guys go at it.
Yeah. And one more heavyweight question for you. Do you have an ideal next opponent for Francis, whether it be in boxing or in PFL MMA? He did even mention a crossover. He called Stipe out, saying he'd love to get the trilogy with Stipe now that Jon's out. So you got anything off the top of your head for Francis?
I would love a Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua in boxing. I want to see Francis in boxing, bro. Box.
Yeah. He's a man. I saw something that said Wilder's been training MMA for the last year and he'd be down to take the fight there.
Maybe a 1-1 boxing and MMA.
Or you get that Mighty Mouse Rod Tang style where they do 1 round boxing, next round MMA, next round boxing. I don't know how that would work with the gloves and the wraps because it's easier with Muay Thai and MMA.
You'd probably have to do like kickboxing and boxing.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, that would be cool though. Just the leg kicks and everything that totally would change the fight.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but we move on this weekend. Big heavyweight matchup: Gelton Almeida versus Derek Lewis in Brazil this weekend. Gelton Almeida minus 450. Derek Lewis coming in on short notice plus 350. I don't know. Every time I bet against Derek Lewis, he always somehow fucking does something. So I think Gelton Almeida here is just too sharp and too technical, but Derek Lewis seems to just be what's the word? Fucking kryptonite for people who are technical. Again, I'm gonna pick Gelton Almeida here, but you never know with this dude. What do you think?
Yeah. Don't give D-Lou a technician, but Almeida's grappling should get the job done in this one, I think. He's a force on the ground. He's been able to just pretty much Dagestani everybody in the heavyweight division he's faced so far. So I don't really see why it would be different against D-Lou at this point in his career. But I do got to throw it out there. Before Derek Lewis's last fight, a lot of people in his camp were saying that he just seemed way more motivated for that one. He seemed like he wanted to fight again in those 3 fights before that. When he got KO'd, he kind of looked like he was just there for a paycheck, that's what his team said. And that's what it looked like during the fights as well. But apparently we've got a motivated Derek Lewis now. He did look better in that last fight than he's looked in a long time with that flying knee right off the rip. But oh man, dude, I don't know. I mean, that Derek Lewis Curtis Blades fight, remember he threw that uppercut at Blades? He was just timing that thing up. That's the thing with D-Lou. He's scary to bet against because at any moment he could put someone out of there. But
exactly.
No, screw it. I'm going D-Lou.
You know,
Underdog.
it's rock. I like it.
May as well
like
go
it.
by knockout, right?
Yeah, you
And
got to knock out.
let me see what other. Oh, we got both the Bomb Fiend Bros on the same card again. And there's a couple other guys I was kind of excited for, but we've got my guy Rinat Fakhramadov back, taking on Elizu Zaleski, the Brazilian. You best believe I'm taking Fakhramadov here. He makes all his opponents just say "fuck" once he gets a hold of him. So that's my guy, dude. I still think Fakhramadov is a guy at that division
Yeah,
at
he's good.
welterweight.
He's good. He's a guy.
Let me see how old he is real quick, because that's really going to
32.
determine it. 30.
32.
He's got 3 more years.
Yeah, he's good.
And speaking of welterweights, there was a little drama this week. So Ian Gary, he's a guy that likes to go train around at a bunch of different gyms, learn different skill sets, new techniques, which I think it's smart. But Leon Edwards' gym, Team Renegade, they told him he can't train there anymore. They don't want him around the champ. They don't, same division, a rival.
Was he training there consistently, or he was like popping in and out?
Just popping in and out. So Ian Gary's quote on it, he said, "Gym conflict is annoying. For me, why not have that other elite guy on the mat? Why not train with him? Why not have him push you? Why not learn and grow from each other?" Well, I think it's because you're going to have to fight each other for the belt at some point, is the way that Leon's team sees it. What's your opinion on that? Do you think the iron sharpens iron in that situation, or you think you should kind of have your own camps when it's someone you're going to fight?
Obviously, I think iron sharpens iron in that situation. But in this situation, if you're not in my gym consistently and you're just kind of popping in and popping out, then no, because then I don't know what you're telling other people too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we grew up together and we were in the same gym through thick and thin, like we started together, like, yeah, cool.
Like, this
think
isn't
you
no
overplayed
outcome
it.
or Rob situation right here.
Yeah, it's not at all. If he, so that's why I asked you, is he just popping in and out? Then yeah, I have no problem with Leon saying no.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. I also, I think, but I want to say I don't think Ian's at that level yet. I think Leon could have used him for a couple more fights.
That's true. Just a good body in there. Just
Yeah.
really, good striker.
But yeah, I think I'm all for the teammates being together, and I should be able to stay. But yeah, when it's like you're popping in and out and you're not here consistently with us grinding, and you just want to come in for when you want to come in, like nah, I'm not. I'm the champ. I have too much to lose. I mean, you look at Gilbert Burns and Usman. They were in the gym grinding.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up fighting, and now they're back in the same gym. But
Ian Gary also spends a lot of time. He spends a lot of time at that gym too, Sanford. So
yeah,
I mean that's another reason why Leon's team could be skeptical of it if Gary's going over training with them, learning some tendencies and tricks, and then going over to Sanford and telling all those guys what Leon's up to.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
What did you think of Victor Wembanyama's first couple games in the league?
I think he's a guy. I think that the Warriors are winning the finals.
Whoa, that Kings game had to feel good. Seeing Steph
is on another level.
Every year.
You saw what he did to Dylan Brooks?
Yeah.
Bro, you see what he did tonight?
No, I saw the Pelicans game. I saw one where it was like, was this a foul on Steph? And he just cooked the dude.
He had 42.
Jeez, that's a 48 and 42 in his last couple of games or something like that. Gosh, man. I love Steph. I wish he wasn't on my rival team because he's probably most likable player of all time or one of them.
I'm telling you, bro. He's on another level. He's a top 5 player of all time. It's like Draymond said, 30's top 5 and he ain't 5. There's very few people, like, when people see Michael Jordan, it's like seeing a ghost. Like, I can't believe this dude's real. Now, don't get me wrong, though I think LeBron's better than Steph all time, 100%. But he doesn't have that effect. Very few people have that, like, this person's, like, not a real person, like, effect.
I got you.
Like Like they were talking about like it was literally Steph's teammates and they were stretching in practice. And they were like, "Bro, like I'm not trying to guard 30 today." He was like, they're like, "He just moves so much."
That's
It's like he just runs around and runs around and runs around. And the dude was like, and one of I think it was like Gary Payton. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "There's dudes that run around like him, but none of them dudes shoot it like him." He said, he said, he said, and the dudes that somewhat shoot it like him, they don't move like him. They said, bro, literally, like they're literally talking like this, like me and you were talking, and he's like on the court with them, like he's like not a real
Yeah.
person, and he's like, yeah, man, sometimes he just pissed me off,
And for dudes in
bro.
the NBA to be saying that,
Bro, I'm telling you, like I wish people would like people that like don't recognize it or like don't appreciate it really like piss me off because it's just so it's literally greatness, bro. It's insane.
so he's at 4 right now or 5?
He has 4 rings.
Is that the same as Braun?
He has 2 with KD. He has 1 before KD and 1 after KD. It's a lot of rings, bro. That's hard.
Over almost a 10-year span too. When did they win the first one?
That's why like I get Draymond's declined and people talk shit about Draymond, but like I get where Draymond's coming from. Like motherfucker, I got 4 rings. Like
Dude,
I'm that guy.
Part of the greatest team of all time, or one of them.
Yeah, like and I was a key like contributor on that. Like I'm a leader on this team. Like I'm the best defensive player on the team. Like I'm a guy. Don't talk to me.
Same with Clay. Like right now, Clay's obviously not as good, but man, he lost y'all that first game against the Suns.
Yeah, he's not very good. He's not very good. Hopefully he gets better this year.
But if his jumper starts falling, that's all it takes. Just like that again, he's a weapon.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be a good NBA season. I'm excited for college basketball too.
Who you got any early bird teams to watch out for that might not be on other people's radar?
I don't want to say no one's radar because they're the number 1 team in the country, but Kansas can be a team that really goes like the old Kentucky teams and goes like 30-0. Like they're good. Yeah, they could very well do that.
They got another white guy. They had Christian Brown and Grady Dick the last 2 years.
They got Hunter Dickinson transferred from Michigan.
No, he transferred there?
Yeah.
How is he not graduated yet? I thought he was like 30.
Grad transfer.
Jeez. I guess the COVID saved everyone, paused everyone's clocks for 3 years.
Yep.
All right, then. I think that's all I got. Oh, did you see the McGregor video? Sir. Where he's in the interview and he's like, you know what Volkanovski was talking about missing training and it being hard on the brain? I go through that too. I've been out of work for...
They've kept this from me.
Man, I missed that fool. I hope he comes back in the spring, UFC 300.
Yeah,
bro. Would that be during March Madness? Imagine.
Yeah, I know.
If it is, we can't not go to Vegas. Even if we don't go to anything, bro, just March Madness, UFC 300. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, then. We'll get some picks out later this week. And
yes, sir. I'll lock in.
I will talk to you later.